Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to Fortson Farm Fridays. I'm Mary, the center director here at Fortson 4-H Center, and today we're on our forest trail, and we're going to talk about winter tree ID. In true Georgia fashion, it's about 60 degrees today, and so it's quite warm for a winter tree ID, but as you can see around me, most of our trees are bare right now. So for winter tree ID, we do want to first talk about the study of trees, which is called dendrology. When you break that word down, dendron means tree, and ology, the study of. There are two different categories that we can put trees into when we are IDing them. That is deciduous and coniferous. Do you know the difference? Coniferous trees typically have needles, cones. They do not lose their needles during the winter and typically do not change color. Common examples are cedars, firs, and pine trees. Deciduous trees typically lose their leaves in the fall. The word deciduous actually means fall off. Deciduous trees have broad, flat leaves that change their color in the fall. Common examples of deciduous trees include the red maple, the tulip poplar, and species of oak. Deciduous trees are a lot easier to ID in the spring, summer, and even the fall. They have leaves, nuts, fruit, or even flowers on them that can assist in identification. But what happens in the winter when those leaves have fallen off and those seeds or nuts may be squirreled away by an animal for a winter snack? How can we ID the trees? That's where the 3 B's come in. Branching pattern, buds, and bark can all assist in IDing trees during the winter.
The first B we're going to talk about is branching pattern. The two typical patterns that you see are called opposite or alternate. Opposite branching pattern is when you have your branches growing directly off the twig or limb across from each other. Alternate branching pattern is when you see the branches growing not directly opposite from each other or alternating up the twig or limb. The second B we want to talk about are the buds. Bud shape, size, and color can all help in IDing trees during the winter. When we think about shape, that bud could be rounded or it could be pointy. When we think about size, they could be large, they could be small. When we think about color, some buds may be dark, close to the color of the bark. Others may be colorful, red for example. The third B we want to talk about is the bark. The texture, structure, and color of the bark can all be helpful in IDing winter trees. Some trees might have colorful bark that's red or gray or very dark brown or black. Some trees may have very smooth bark or rough bark that is very prominent and sticks off of the tree. In my opinion, bark is one of the most helpful of the B's in IDing trees in the winter. Now let's go ID some trees. The first tree we're going to ID, we want to look at the branching pattern, and we see that it's alternate or zigzagging up the twig. The buds are round and dark brown, and the bark is reddish brown with thin, shreddy scales. Also, there may be remnants from last year that help to ID the tree, and it looks like there's a seed pod still on the tree. This tree is an eastern redbud. Let's go ID one more tree. This tree seems to have an opposite branching pattern, or where those branches grow across from one another. The buds on this tree grow in a whorled pattern, or around the twig. They are light in color and grow close to the twig. The bark on the tree is gray in color and has thicker scales going up and down the tree. There also seems to be a remnant from last year of a seed pod hanging in the tree. This tree is called the Catalpa, or cigar tree.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Fortson Farm Fridays during our Winter from the Mountain to the Sea series. What winter trees can you ID with the 3 Bs?